Ivan Ilyich lived his whole life following societal expectations. He always chose to do what was right by the standards of his society. He got a respectable job and worked to climb the social ladder with the belief that this was the correct way to go about life. But in the process of following the path towards a successful life, he failed to appreciate the things in his life that were truly important, such as his family. It was not till the final moments of his life that Ivan saw that his whole life had been insignificant.
Yeah, man.
So why am I not Ivan Ilyich? I think, to a certain extent, like everyone else, I am Ivan Ilyich. I follow the path laid out for me. I went to grade school, then high school, now college, and eventually graduate school. It's impossible to go throughout life without conforming, to some extent, to a societal system. I'll admit, when I was younger, I was well on my way to becoming Ivan Ilyich. I remember when I was in preschool, the teacher asked each of us what we wanted to be when we grew up. I hadn't really thought about it before, so I copied a few of the other boys in class and said that I wanted to be a firefighter. I had no desire whatsoever to be a firefighter, but I conformed to the career paths of the majority of my classmates in order to fit in. Then, later on in life, when I was in middle school and my early years of high school, I still wasn't sure what I wanted to be when I grew up. So in order to answer the same question, I would tell people that perhaps I wanted to be a doctor like my dad. I had some interest in the medical profession, but I was by no means passionate about becoming a doctor. I simply said it because I knew that my parents and my grandmother would be very happy if I followed in my dad's footsteps, and also because I knew that I could make a pretty good living as a doctor. Again, I conformed to society's expectations of what career path was the correct path. Finally, during the beginning of my senior year in high school, I had reached the point where I was applying to colleges and needed to decide what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I could no longer ignore the question. I had to reflect for a great deal of time and find a real answer. Throughout my life, I had always enjoyed designing and constructing things. My guidance counselor suggested that I look into engineering. I was good at math and science, and after doing some research of my own, the field of civil engineering seemed like a perfect fit for me. As much as it may seem as though I just did what I was told and chose a major as an engineer, I truly believe that I chose engineering because it's something that I'm passionate about and that I love to do. After my first semester here at CU, I can see that I really do enjoy engineering. Of course, classes like calculus and physics aren't the easiest course load, but being able to work on my engineering project for the Design Expo was an enjoyable experience. I feel more confident now that I am becoming an engineer because it's what I enjoy, not because it pays well or because it's what I was told to do. When I picture the anti-Ivan Ilyich, I think of Christopher McCandless, the protagonist in the novel and recent film Into the Wild by John Krakauer. After graduating from college, Chris decides to give up all his possessions and live entirely on his own in the wilderness of Alaska. He goes against the grain of society's influence and chooses to entirely ignore what is expected of him and lives independent of the rest of civilization. Chris ultimately dies alone, much like Ivan Ilyich, and comes to the realization in the last few days of his life that happiness is only real when shared. So what can we get from this? If one chooses the one extreme of conformity to society's expectations, or the other extreme of ignoring society and living entirely independent from its pressures, both extremes lead to dying alone without finding true happiness. So I think that we must find the happy medium between these two extremes. To a certain extent, we must conform to societal expectations, but at the same time we must keep an awareness of our individual freedom.
Hey, Scott, I'm Mo, and, I'm pretty dumb, but,
Yeah, haven't read a book in your class, but I'm not a Von Illich, so word. Andy Dillard says, occasionally by waiting, and I just sit here waiting for a girl to come play with my nose. Because it's so long, because I'm Italian.
Because the nose is big.
Dude, that's going in the back of my video.
No, it's not, dude. The back end of the